Today's guest is a rising star in the country music industry. He has spent the last 2 decades paying his dues and is now enjoying the fruits of his labor. Having performed with artists such as Little Big Town, Lady A, Aaron Tippin, and even the great Percy Sledge, he is achieving his goals of becoming a household name. Please help me welcome Josh Addair. Josh, thank you so much for being a guest on my show this evening. I am so thrilled and so honored to have you. I've been a fan of yours for many, many years.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. I was stoked when I was asked.
Oh, you know what? I was stoked when you accepted. I really was because I have known you forever.
Yes.
We come from the same small town
Yes,
in
we
West
do.
Virginia.
Mhm.
So tell me this. How did you end up going from a tiny little town called Maitland, West Virginia with about 600 people total to East Tennessee where we have like over, what, 1 billion visitors each year?
Yes, yes. So we came down. We've been in Tennessee. I say all the time that the great state of Tennessee adopted me about 7 years ago. We came down just as an opportunity for our family to grow and find better jobs and work and that kind of thing. And came down in 16, and they've been nothing but good to us. So we're super thankful to even be a part of this area and this culture. So
I totally get that. I mean, I moved down here on January 2nd of 2018, and I have not regretted it. And I told somebody else the other day, I said, it's a place of peace. There's a peace that's here in East Tennessee that you can't find anywhere else.
I agree with that.
And so I've just been in the jobs and the tourism, just everything about East Tennessee is just, I think once people get here, they don't want to leave. I know I haven't wanted to leave. So, but as I said in the intro, you've been playing country music for 2 decades now.
Yes. It's been so long. I guess I've really, truly been singing since I was able to make a sound, but I guess my real love for music developed as a child, but I started performing and singing country music. I was 13 years old when I played my very first show live in front of anyone. So
I was going to say, I didn't think you were much older than 2 decades. So it's hard to believe that you've been, singing country music that long. But how did you first get started? I mean, I know that you grew up singing gospel music. How did you start singing country music as well?
So gospel was actually something that came to me later. I always grew up. I was raised on old soul R&B music. So my mom loved like Percy Sledge and all of those old classics. So I grew up just learning to love that kind of music, and then of course country music. And just when I started into it, I knew that there was such a desire to sing that. One, let's face it, I'm country as cornbread. But two, just because it's literally where my heart was. Always. It was always where I feel like being able to tell a story and have people relate to it is the greatest payoff that you could ever get for anything. And when it comes to music, storytelling is country music. So, that's where my passion lied, and it just kind of went from there.
I totally get that. I'm a writer, so I love to tell stories.
Yes.
I write books. Tried my hand at songwriting, but that's a whole different ballgame. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for you and everybody that writes songs, because you have to have that the rhythm. You got to have the rhyming. That's tough. I can tell a story. I just can't write a song.
Yes.
So, but I also grew up with country music. My mom used to listen to George Jones, every single day. He stopped loving her today.
Oh yeah.
Man, I could sing that backwards if I had to.
Yeah.
but country music definitely tells a story from beginning to end.
Absolutely.
And it tells beautiful stories too.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the songs are funny, but really it tells, and just the way that it tugs at your heart is just is something.
Yeah, I say just about every show that country music has changed over generations, and we can all agree and say that, I liked it better when it sounded like this, and I liked it better when it sounded like that. But the truth about country music is it's always told a story, and that's the one thing that has always stayed consistent.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have, of course, like the older people who maybe my age, the older people.
Yeah.
I'm older. So, like I said, I remember George Jones and Travis Tritt and all the people like that, even from the 70s on up to like the 90s and the early 2000s. Reba McEntire, Garth Brooks, all them. But even now, people tell stories in their songs. There's the one guy has Sand in My Boots.
Yes.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
Listen, that song is beautiful.
Yes.
So, it doesn't matter if it's yesterday's music or today's music. There's a story in it. So, I love that.
Yeah.
So, you released your first single,
Yeah.
excuse me, Country to the Bone.
Yes.
Over 9 years ago.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and it became an instant hit on radio all over the East Coast and on the internet. How did that feel?
It was really awesome. So that song came about really by I had an opportunity to record some songs that I had written, and we had put them together in a project for an album. And I guess I was a young 18, 19 years old. I realized that we had written this whole album, but we didn't have a song to start the album with, and it was done. And I was like, okay, so I've got to sit down and I've got to write something to really kick it off. And it was one of the only songs that I've really sat down and said, I've got to write a song. I'm going to write a song.
Oh, wow.
So I sit down and I wrote it, and it took me about 20 minutes. And we went into the studio the next day, and I just sang it to them.
Wow.
And we started developing the music. And it really became the most popular song that was on the whole project.
Wow.
And we introduced it to country music radio locally, and it just kind of took off from there. So, yeah, it opened a lot of doors for me. I liked it. Yeah.
That is fantastic. I mean, sometimes we put a lot of work into stuff, and we think that's, where that's the thing that's going to carry us, and then the things that just come to you really turn out to be the biggest blessings.
Yes.
So when that became a hit on radio, did you feel like you'd finally made it, like your dreams were finally starting to come true?
I guess in a small market scale, yes, I was able to experience things that I'd been working so hard for, and having radio stations call and say, hey, we want you to come and do an interview, or having a show because someone heard it on the radio that wasn't even in the state that I was in, or having people say, hey, I've heard your song before and I've never met them before. That was the payoff that I got from that. Yeah, for sure. I felt like I had made it.
Yeah, that has to be a great feeling, having your work recognized by people. I mean, and for people to love it.
Yeah.
And to say, that they relate to it, or I mean, that has to be that's the payoff, really. It's not, I personally don't think it's the name and lights and the fame and all that. I think it's people connecting to your work.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's real passion, and the payoff always is to have someone connect to that, and I'm sure you can relate to this. But when you write, or when you perform, it's a very vulnerable state. You're opening up your heart to people and saying, I hope you can relate to this. So when they do, that is the payoff.
Yeah, because I know I say every book I write, it's like when you go to put, it's so exciting, that process, and then even the editing, and then you get ready to release it, and you're like, oh God, should I do this or not?
Sure.
What if one person don't like it, and that's the review I concentrate on? I'm like, oh my goodness. So, but there's always going to be those who like things we do and those who don't, and we just got to keep doing it because we love it.
That's it.
And that's what's most important. So, but so my favorite song by you, and I just told you this a few minutes ago, is called About a Girl.
It is.
Listen, that is such a feel-good song. It's so upbeat. I love it. The words are beautiful. Did you write that about your beautiful wife, Rebecca?
So I wish I could say and take credit for this entire song, but it was not me. So we were actually looking for a song to release at that time, and I have a friend who's, coincidentally, his name is Josh as well, and he's in Nashville. He's doing big things. He actually just made his Grand Ole Opry debut last week, and he and I were just chatting back and forth, and at that time I was telling him, we were just touching base. Where are you? And this is what you're doing. This is what I'm doing. And I told him, I said, we've just been writing a lot and trying to hone in on a sound that we want to release. And he was like, well, if you're up to it, let me pitch you some stuff. So he did. And About a Girl was the first song that he pitched. And I heard it, and immediately I was like, "This is the song. Like this will inhabit everything that I want." And there were a few lyrics in there that we were kind of like, "Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's change this." So of course we asked, and he said, "Okay." So we were able to contribute to the song. We didn't write it completely, but yeah, and it was one of those songs that it hits me personally because at that time was the time that Rebecca and I were about to have our second child, who is a girl. And it was just one of those things where I was like learning to be a father to a little girl, and the song was about a girl, and inevitably it's about just, the storyline is, yes, I'm doing all these things, but I really just want to go home to my family.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, it just resonated with me as well. So
Yeah, I think that's the part that gets me too. Is like the lyrics in the very beginning. You're out with the guys, and they're sort of like laughing because you want to go home, but that's where your heart is,
Yeah.
And then I mean the words are just beautiful, but
Yeah.
the tempo is so good. I mean, listen. I put it on at home, I listen to it on repeat, and I just dance around my house.
Well, good.
At 54 years old, I'm just dancing around the house. But
Good.
it is just so good. I really do love that song. I mean, it's good. I hope everybody discovers it, and
Yes.
so. But also, I want to ask you about this.
Okay.
The music video was made in our hometown.
It was.
Maitland.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that feel? Did it feel like you come full circle? Because
Yeah.
listen, I see it, and people are like holding posters and,
Yeah.
and doing their phone lights and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we had the song released, and I knew that we did want to put some sort of visual image to it. And at that time, I had been asked to come home and play for the Magnolia Fair. And if you know anything about our area, that was like one of the highlights of the whole year for us growing up was the Magnolia Fair. So I attended it so many years growing up and that kind of thing. And to be asked to come and then headline a night meant a lot to me. Everything just coming full circle. And I hadn't been home in several years to play music and that kind of thing. So it was exciting to get to go back. And when we did, I called up the company who done the video, and I was like, "Hey, I have this idea. So we're looking for an idea to record a video to this song. What say we make it all about highlights of this show that is happening where I'm coming home and that kind of thing?" So it all worked out. Yeah.
It was a really good video. I mean, it's very. I even watched it yesterday, and it's so touching to see our hometown in
Yeah.
a video and to see you know.
Yes.
And like you said, the fair was the big event
Yes.
in that little town, because I said there's I think there's 620 people total in that town. So the fair every year was the huge thing. And then that very last night when they had the big band, because the Eagles have played there.
Oh, yeah.
Some pretty big major players. And so to be asked to headline, I imagine that was a huge deal to
Sure.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 13, I sang on I sang like 3 or 4 songs to open up for T. Graham Brown, and it was one of the very first shows I ever played. And then to come back and then headline it was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be like the greatest feeling
Yeah.
ever. But I love that video, and really, like, I'm all about girl power. The lady playing the guitar.
Yeah.
Oh man, when I saw her, I was like, oh,
Yes.
that's
So she's tough. She's one of the best bass players that I think I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
And for her to be female, I was like, yes, we need a rose among all these thorns. So it's cool to play
I
with her.
love that. Just the visual was just. It was great. I just love it. Congratulations.
Well,
on
thank
that.
you.
So,
Thank you.
So I have asked you to perform
Yes,
this
ma'am.
evening. What are you going to sing for us?
So coincidentally, we're going to sing about a girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yes, yes.
I am so happy. Yeah. So you brought your partner in crime,
Sure.
your
Yes.
singing partner,
Yes.
Joe Ayers.
Yes.
Joe Ayers, yeah. So I'm going to step away and let you guys get started.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Okay.
Games up on the big screen. We're up 2 for 1 for once, and the waitress is pouring a free drink. She's from where we're from. Everything about this should be a good old boy's dream. The guys won't let me live it down as I'm walking out. Just gotta see about those baby blue eyes and those lips on standby, probably sipping red wine. Wrapped up in a blanket, kicking back on the couch, a smile on her face, saying, where you been, babe? Got a thing that can't wait. I just want a song I'm gonna see about a girl. She got my heart. Heaven knows she's a work of art. Never felt so far. Never felt so hard. Used to live for the weekend. Hit up downtown soon as we clocked out. Couldn't wait to see where the night went. Now the only view that I'm running to is those baby blue eyes and those lips on standby, probably sipping red wine. Wrapped up in a blanket, kicking back on the couch, a smile on her face, saying, where you been, babe? Kind of thing that can't wait. I just want a song I wanna see about a girl. She got my heart. Heaven knows she's a work of art. Never felt so far. Never felt so hard. Those baby blue eyes, lips on standby, I'm sipping red wine. Those baby blue eyes and those lips on standby, probably sipping red wine. Wrapped up in a blanket, kicking back on the couch, a smile on her face, saying, where you been, babe? Got a thing that can't wait. I just want a song I'm gonna see about a girl. She got my heart. Heaven knows she's a work of art. Never felt so far. Never felt so hard. Yeah, she got my heart. Heaven knows she's a work of art. Never felt so far. Never felt so hard.
Josh, that was so great.
Well,
oh
thank
my
you.
God.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for singing that. I had
Absolutely.
no idea you were going to sing
yes,
that.
Yes, super.
So I thought you was going to sing like a slow song with a guitar, because I know we don't have speakers, and I know
Yeah.
you couldn't use a soundtrack, but my God, that made me so happy. I was there. I don't know if you could see me, but I was over there dancing, singing, taking a video of you. So
Good.
anyway, thank you for singing that.
Well, thank you.
So what do you have coming up? Tell our viewers where that they can catch you, where they can hear you.
So we have a couple of things coming up. I guess our very next event will be it's called a Farm to Table event. It's at a place called Land Basket Farms in Tennessee here. And they asked me to play a couple of years ago, and I'm coming back this year. It's a wonderful event. It's all an organically raised farm, and they come in and they have a chef come in. They sell tickets, and it's a beautiful venue, and people come and have dinner, and it's all food that has been prepared from the farm, and then we provide the entertainment. So that'll be the next one, and then in October I'm getting to support one of my heroes growing up, Joe Nichols, the country music artist. We'll be doing a show with him in Prestonsburg, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you mentioned a while ago Percy Sledge.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about, before we end the show, let's talk a little bit about, you've shared the stage with T. Graham Brown.
Yes.
Percy Sledge.
Yes.
I forgot who else. Aaron Tippin.
Yes. So we've had a lot of shows that I've done some opening spots for. A lot of things that we've done, a lot of showcases in Nashville with. We done a showcase, and I wasn't the opening act for them, but I was in the lineup with Lady Antebellum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's been, gosh, I guess them. I'm trying to think who probably stands out to me the most. Craig Campbell is probably my favorite show that we ever played, just because I had a conversation with him afterward, and it meant a lot to me that he took the time to. We played our show, and about third song in, I look over to the right, and he had come from backstage and had walked out and was watching our set. So nerves immediately shot up, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So, but we finished our set, and as soon as I got done, I was just trying to, because when you're an opening act, the step one is just stay out of the way. Like you're humbled for the opportunity, and you don't want to disrupt anything. It's like their house. You're walking into their house.
Yeah.
So, but I walked off stage and was just trying to get away to the place that they had for us backstage, and one of his stagehands was like, hey, before you go, he wants to see you. And I thought, oh gosh. So, but it was just a conversation of, he was like, you're so talented, and I watched a lot of your show, and just keep doing what you're doing, and he told me that it was inspiring to watch. So it meant a lot to me. It's something that I've carried with me, that conversation, all throughout these years. So.
Yeah, I imagine so. How nice of him to do that,
Yes.
because usually, like you said, you're the opening act. They're back there doing their thing, preparing.
Sure.
And then a lot of times they probably don't have time to see the opening act.
Yeah.
But the fact that he took time to come out, walk around, and watch you, and then to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that was really nice. So,
Yeah.
But what about Percy Sledge? Let's talk about that a bit. How in the world did you get to perform with him?
So, fun fact, and this, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm gonna drop a bomb right here. So my mom's family is very close to Percy. Yes, growing up, he actually was a lot at our family events. Yeah, he was really good friends with my uncle, and I remember being very small and meeting him for the very first time. And then the year that he played the West Virginia State Fair, I got to go and be a part of that. So, yeah, and it wasn't just a few years after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
I didn't know that about you. And
Yes.
I've known you since you were young.
Yeah, so my uncle, he tried his best to get my uncle to marry his daughter. And it never worked out, but yeah.
Well, gosh, that's really fascinating. That is a
Yes.
fun fact.
It is a fun
So
fact.
one of these days, when people are playing trivia about Josh Addair, that'll be a
Right,
fun
yes,
trivia
yes.
question. Yeah. So any plans for an album coming up, or?
Oh, we're hopeful. It's one of those things where the big thing is funding for something like that is a lot. There's a lot that goes into that. So we're working toward. I'm putting money aside with the music stuff that I'm doing, and we have a family, so it's not like I have all this money to just throw out.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, I'm consistently writing, and I'm just learning that the Lord is teaching me to be patient for things.
Oh boy.
So,
Yeah, listen, me too.
Yes.
Me too.
yeah, it's difficult, and we're gonna get there. I strongly believe that as long as we keep putting good things out there and doing what He's asking us to do, the road will be provided. So I'm not stressing about it. I'm just excited, if that makes sense.
Look how far you've come already. Like you play regularly at Old Red,
Yeah.
right, in Gatlinburg. That's
Yes.
a huge deal to me. I think.
Yes.
And the Listening Room Cafe.
Yep.
That's a really huge deal.
Yeah, that was a cool experience.
Yeah, and so look where you've come from. The
Yeah.
little town of Matewan, and look
Sure.
what you've done in your life. You've
Yeah.
really done a lot over the last 2 decades, really. And so, I talked to another guest I had on, Zach.
Yes.
Zach, and I said, when you finally make it, whatever finally making it looks like
Sure.
to each person, some people might look and say, "Wow, they were an overnight success," but nobody's ever an overnight success. There's
No.
years that go into it that people don't even see.
Yeah.
So, you've been doing this for 2 decades, and so once you do finally pop on the scene in a huge way, people will be like, well, where'd he come from? Well, you know what? We've watched
Yes.
him for 20 years,
Yes. Yep.
So, but I really believe that it's going to happen for you.
Oh, well,
you've
thank
got
you.
you've got way too much talent, Josh, for God not to bless you with this very successful career.
Well, thank you.
Have you ever thought about American Idol, The Voice, America's Got Talent? Have you ever thought about those?
Yeah. So I've I auditioned for American Idol several times in high school, and now I've aged out. I'm too old.
Oh no.
Yes, there's an age limit on American Idol, but with The Voice, I've auditioned for that several times. I haven't, I think, in the last couple of years, but I think 2 or 3 years back, we actually got pretty far, and then there's just so many people, so we got the rejection letter, which is always great.
Hey, that's their loss, you know?
Yeah.
But I had a guest on, I think it was my second show. My friend Pam Haggard's daughter, Haley, was on here. And I asked her if she had ever auditioned for The Voice or anything. And she said she didn't want to because they tie you down into some contract.
They
and
do.
yeah, it's really tough. So... But yeah, listen, thank you so much again for agreeing to come on,
Yes.
and especially for singing for me. I
Yes,
appreciate
well,
that.
thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I mean
you
that
know.
truly.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that you know that you agreed, because
Yes.
for me it's a huge deal, and I definitely want your autograph before you leave. I want you to sign one of my little cards here.
Sure.
So yeah, so thank you all for watching the show this week. I know that you've enjoyed Josh as much as I have, and tune in again next week for another exciting guest. And remember to always dream big, because big dreams do come true.